Thank you very much for joining, everybody, and welcome to the FieldWorker webinar. We have, a very interesting and exciting session. I am Rohit Mathur, co-founder of FieldWorker, and with me I have my partner Prabhat Wesh, also a co-founder, and we have Bill England, who all of you know, the CEO and founder of Disability Services and Advocacy with us as well. And we are very excited to have him here with us. And also from the FieldWorker team, we have Sunny and Ann Murta from the customer success team. So we are very happy to have you here. Beautiful day as well. We are in Princeton, New Jersey, based out of Princeton. So, no matter where you are in New Jersey, we are right smack bang in the center, close to you, somewhere or the other. We want to keep this, very informal, this webinar. So we welcome, interaction. Feel free to drop your questions or any comments that you have in either the chat window or the Q&A window, and we'll take them as we go along. We want to, just keep it informal. You all know Bill already, and you'll get to know us as well. So, let's keep the comments coming and going through. A little bit of background on FieldWorker and us. So, as I said, I'm Rohit Mathur. I myself have a sister who is developmentally disabled, my only sibling. Prabhat and I both have family experiences with developmental disabilities. And that, to a large extent, has brought us towards developing FieldWorker. And the whole idea is to, make a product which really makes the life of people who are delivering services to developmentally disabled adults easier. And we'll get into the details of all this as we go along through this webinar. Bill, of course, you know him very well. We have also known Bill for a while, and his knowledge, experience, and inputs in this journey for us with FieldWorker has been absolutely invaluable and wonderful for us, and helped us along the way. We'll give you a short brief on what FieldWorker is all about, and then actually show you how it is all done. And Sunny is going to do that, and we'll show you how everything works. But the whole idea is that a lot of work that we have done in FieldWorker has been towards support coordination agencies. We understand some of the problems and difficulties that you face, and we have tried to build a system which kind of helps you in your day-to-day life. And it helps not only the employees of the organization, of the support coordination agency, but also the management, and overall helps you deliver a better quality of service, gives you a bunch of efficiencies, and saves you time and money. We do quite a few things, right? Our overall focus is that your data quality should be great. It should be accurate. We should save you time, and overall get everything together in one place so that you are audit ready all the time, right? So overall, the whole idea is around this. Even though we do a whole bunch of things, our focus today is going to be on a few parts of that. We want to keep it focused. So we do monitoring tools, right? And we understand this is a very key part of your function. It is which hinges on the payments. We do monitoring tools. We automate the process, and again, keep in mind a guided process to give you accurate data, do it very quickly and very efficiently. We even we have automated claim submission, right? So we flow in directly, central place for all your data, centralized documentation, centralized information. We do claim submission. We do time tracking if you want to do it. We do case notes, a whole bunch of benefits, putting this whole picture together to be a centralized place to run your support coordination agency. Now, as far as this webinar is concerned, we are going to focus more on MTs, right? We've also taken into consideration the new requirements that DDD has put into place for 2023. So our MTs are latest, greatest, right? We automate the whole process, and you'll see how that works. Our focus on this webinar is going to be primarily on MTs. But if you would like to know or talk more about the other aspects of our product, we are happy to take those questions, right? So feel free to ask those questions. If we can't deal with them in this webinar, we want to keep it tight and focused. We're happy to set up a separate meeting and discuss all those things as well. But overall, we are trying to address, and we have addressed, most of the important functionality that you need to run your support coordination agency. So we will get into showing you how all this works. But before I do that, I'll pass to Bill and ask him if there is anything he would like to add and share his experiences with us.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great seeing friends again that I work with in ABCD. I got exposed to Rohit and Prabhat about 2.5 years ago. And they had contacted me about trying to develop a technology platform that would integrate a time capturing system using the latest technology, handheld technology. And the concept of FieldWorker was the basis of their company, right? Handheld technology, capturing the information and time spent working with individuals out in the field, right? And of course, support coordinators are out in the field. So when I met with them, of course, I did some research and found out that, Prabhat had many years experience in the banking and financial service IT world. And he now also transitioned over to a professor at NJIT, so in computer science. So obviously he had the knowledge of computer science and computer systems, as did Rohit. He also spent many years in the banking IT world and then started his own companies doing IT services. So their technology background was excellent. And the fact that they had a connection with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities was also a plus. I always find that that's a benefit for people working in this field. The fact that they are up on the latest programming languages, as you know, I've talked about it at ABCD quite a bit. I've invested in programming and I have programmers on my payroll. And I have a lot of systems in place to help capture the time that my coordinators spend working on consumers. I pay people, I give a split and pay people by consumer. I pay our coordinators by consumer, by deliverable. But I can only do that because I capture the time. But the one missing link was a more sophisticated platform that really could move me forward into the 21st century. I had two programmers. I knew that they really didn't have the expertise. Yes, we did a great job for my little company, but we weren't going to be able to transform the platform moving forward. So when Rohit and Prabhat approached me, I got very excited because I really thought that this would give an opportunity to take what I've done to the next level. And one of the big things that I really felt I needed was to integrate time capture with creating the monitoring tool. Rohit and Prabhat sort of saw the same thing as a great opportunity. And they've come up with a platform that really does it quite efficiently. And so I'm very excited. I've been working with them. We have my coordinators are on the system right now. We are utilizing the system and we're very excited what we're seeing. We also are utilizing them to submit our billing. We'll continue to develop that platform too. So there's so many positive things that I've seen in working with FieldWorker. Their support team, they've done an excellent job. Sonny and Zach, Sonny's on the presentation today. They really have been very supportive along the way. And that's really important. Having good customer support is really the key to onboarding a company into a new IT platform. So I've been very happy with it. We're hoping to transition our entire company over into FieldWorker. I have about 70 some odd employees, about 54 coordinators. I'm hoping that we can transition everybody over by July. We have about 10 working in the system right now and are slowly transitioning them through. So and I'm seeing some already immediate benefits. Some of the things that we do review all the monitoring tools. We have people review them. We call them monitoring tool approvers, and that do review them. They have a way to capture the phone calls that are made and have it automatically delivered so that you know that that phone call has actually occurred. We can upload sign-in sheets to verify that the visit did occur. And I'll point out sign-in sheets. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but in the past 9 years, I've had to terminate 2 employees with very large caseloads, 50 plus consumers that didn't do their visits. And we could prove it because we had the sign-in sheets. We went back to the sign-in sheets and took a look at it. One manager was uncomfortable with some of the descriptions about what was going on with consumers. They seemed repetitive. And so she sort of checked into it and found out that that coordinator did not do the visits. That particular coordinator, we weren't forced to pay back anything because we caught it right in the first month. But a subsequent coordinator, we uncovered the same thing. And we had already billed, and we come to find out that a number of the visits were fraudulently documented, and we could prove it. Of course, we contacted Medicaid fraud, and we returned the money for the fraud visits and things along that line. But I'm a big believer in protecting ourselves and having systems and controls that protect us as the owners of an organization. And FieldWorker is embracing that concept, is giving the opportunity to verify that these contacts did occur. And I think that's important. So it's something I just point out. So I guess that's sort of a little brief summary of my exposure. And I leave it up to the team, Rohit and Prabhat and Sunny, to give a nice demonstration of their product.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Thanks for that. It's great. So we will show you how MTs work in FieldWorker, and we'll discuss any questions that you may have. As Bill mentioned, we as founders, we have experience with developmental disability. With my sibling, we understand the world that you work in and some of the difficulties that you experience. From an MT perspective, right? What we have done is we've put together a guided process, right? That's what we have done. The SCs will have far fewer fields to fill out, and you may question, why is that the case, right? So we made the process accurate and quick, and those two things sometimes don't go hand in hand, but we have been able to do that. And how we have been able to do that is because we have validated information in our system, so we pick that up. So some of the fields do not need to be entered because we already have that information. Plus, also we get information directly from iRecord. So we have a mechanism where you can get information automatically from iRecord, and you can sync with iRecord frequently so that you always have the latest data. So this is quite interesting what we have done, and hopefully you will find it interesting too and valuable. But we have been able to put this synchronization process together, giving you tools and helpful ways so that the MT can be done accurately and quickly, and overall give you a framework or a structure in which you can do your job much better, faster, and in a better way, right? So I'll let Sunny jump in and start showing you how this whole thing works. But the overall idea is that we make the creation process of MTs very quick. So Sunny, I'll pass you on to you, and let's just see how this whole thing works.
Yes, thank you so much, Rohit. Good afternoon, everybody. I will be walking you through the demo for the MT process on FieldWorker. I will just be sharing my screen. Yes, so on our system, we have 3 different designations. We have the admin, the manager or approver, and a support coordinator designation. Every employee will have their own login and password. I am currently going to log in as a support coordinator and show you that process. So we use Microsoft for our login as we're HIPAA compliant, and we're a single sign-on. So once your employees enter in their password, they do not have to do it again. The password is saved automatically. We're now going to look at the support coordinator screen. Before we look at the screen, I would like to mention the DDD sync that Rohit just spoke about. It's the DDD sync, or the file that we get from iRecord, can be uploaded onto our system. And by that, we capture information regarding the client, like plan end date, the NJCAT score, the tier information, the diagnosis code. So all the information, it's the DDD participant search file from iRecord that you can upload on our system, and that creates the clients and all their records. And you can start then creating an MT. Coming to the dashboard, this is the support coordinator dashboard. Every support coordinator will see a list of their caseload, as well as any information about the client. So we display information about what the next visit would be based on the submissions. So whether it's going to be a quarterly or a monthly MT, the next month is something that we display, as well as plan information, program, and the various dates present for a client are shown up on the dashboard. Your support coordinators can click on any client name and access client records to get information. We now start with the MT process. The first step would be to record time. We have configurations on our system, so we also have a one-click MT feature, which allows you to complete an MT without recording time. But for today's webinar, we would be using the timesheet option. So the first step would be to click the timesheet right beside client name. You can enter in the timesheet with the task title saying home visit, the task type. All of this information is configurable and can be configured according to your agency. So if you have different labeling, that is something we can get on the system. You then record how long the phone or the phone call or the home visit was, and click save. This timesheet now appears right beside the client record. To create an MT, you can click on the addition button that says link to MT. This then gets the form ready. When your support coordinators click the form, they're open to the monthly as well as the quarterly MT. So we have the monthly and the quarterly based on the type of visit. Your support coordinator can create and send this MT for submission. We have section 1. If you have a look at section 1, most of the client information is pre-filled. We get this information from the system, that's the iRecord system upload that you do, as well as any contact date, timesheet information that we have is pre-populated. Most of the questions are drop-downs, so your support coordinators can click a drop-down. We have different color schemes to have sections that have been completed and the ones that are still left. So for example, section 2, as we have no follow-ups from previous months, is already completed. And section 1 is in black, so that's not completed, and your support coordinators would have to complete it. We have a save and close option. So anytime in the MT, if there is something that you need to take care of, you can save that progress in the MT and come back to the form. Coming up to section 2, we carry follow-up items from an MT to the next month's MT. We also have a follow-up comments. Any comments added by your support coordinators as a follow-up will be present here while creating the MT. So that gives them a good reference point, having the comments right there. Moving on to section 3, any questions that have an asterisk require a comment or a follow-up. So on the system, when selected, your support coordinator will be prompted to have entered in a follow-up or a comment, until which the question will not be answered. So if there is no follow-up or comment, the question is not answered. This makes sure that the MT is accurate when submitted. Once you have completed every section, and I actually have an MT that I have completed. Once you have completed every section on the MT, you can click the submit button. and submit the form for an approval to the MT approver. I'm going to submit this MT for an approval. Once submitted, button changes to waiting for approval. This then lets the support coordinator know that the MT has been submitted for an approval. I will now log out as a support coordinator and log in as an approver.
Sunny, can I just
Sure.
ask a question? Basically, your platform will force to make sure that all the required questions are answered before they can submit the
MT.
the monitoring
Yes.
tool to the approver, correct?
Yes, yes. Until every section is completed, and that means every question has been answered on the system, you cannot submit an MT for approval. So when the MT is with the manager, we make sure that it's a completed MT.
So that's a great feature, because I know that one of the things that I had struggled with my MT approving on the prior monitoring tool was people would forget to click things, and it took a long time to make sure that they got everything clicked and made sure they did the document correctly. So to have the computer do that for the reviewer really expedites the review process and ensures that you have good data.
Yes,
so I just wanted to comment that.
We make sure that the system takes care of all this validation before the MT is submitted and downloaded. So great question. I'm not going to move in and sign in as an approver. So it's the same process. You would sign in using your user ID and password. We're a one-time sign-on. So once you enter in your password, you do not need to remember it. You do not need to remember your user ID. This is the approver or the manager screen. We have the support coordinator who is up under this manager. And when you click on the support coordinator, you get a list of the caseload for that support coordinator. We also display plan information on the dashboard, just like the support coordinator screen. Your clients can have an approved, a not submitted, or a review button. To review an MT, your manager can click on the review button, click on the MT form, and that opens the form that has been submitted by the support coordinator. The managers can make sure everything in the form looks good and either download or print a copy for themselves to save. Most of the clients like to have a sign-in sheet present. So if your managers would like to refer to the sign-in sheet that has been submitted, they can click on the documents, and that opens up any documents that have been submitted for this client. So Robert Woods has a sign-in sheet. I can download and view the sign-in sheet to make sure that it's the right visit. We then can approve or reject the MT with any comments that need to be sent to the support coordinator. So I will be approving this and submitting it. Once approved, the manager is known that the MT has now been approved and sent back to the support coordinator. So these are the steps your manager would follow. I will now log out and log in back as a support coordinator in order to download a copy of the MT to upload to iReckon. We're logging back in as the support coordinator, that is Scott. Brings us back to the support coordinator screen here. So once approved, you can click and download a copy of the MT. So you can download a PDF version or a Word file of the completed MT to upload to iReckon. So when downloaded, this is how your document would look like. We also have a lot of features that run through this system. So we have billing, but for today's webinar, it's the MT, and these are the steps that your support coordinator would have to follow to have a completed MT to upload to iReckon. Yes.
So Sunny, I'm just going to ask a question. You
Sure.
talked about the follow-up items. So if I submit a monitoring tool this month and I have a follow-up item on a section, how does that follow-up item, how does that get into subsequent monitoring tools?
So we carry forward any follow-up item that has not been resolved for that current month into the next month. So it's gonna show up on the empty in section 2 with the follow-up items. If not resolved by the support coordinator, we then carry it to the month after as well. So it's a flow on the system that carries follow-up items. We also have reports that allow you to have a report generated of all the follow-up items for a support coordinator. This then helps the support coordinator plan the future month on all the follow-up items that have to be completed. Yes.
So one of the things that I know a lot of coordinators have complained about is the length of time that it takes to complete a monitoring tool, these new monitoring tools. And I think the FieldWorker system really, because of that syncing process with the DDDI record, and I'm sure all you are aware that you can download in the search option on the iRecord page, you can download the consumer record. And that's what you download from iRecord and then upload that into FieldWorker using their syncing process so that the latest information is brought over, the tiers, the scores to create the tiers, the Medicaid information, and whether there's a Medicaid end date or whether they are, an active Medicaid consumer, there's no issue, they're current. All that is brought over without having the coordinator to go back into iRecord to look for this information. So, the process is expedited. Either it's taking the coordinators a lot longer to do the process, or they're not going back and checking because they just don't want to spend the time to do it. This ensures that that process is accurate and complete, and ensures that it's done with the minimum amount of time. And that's really one of the real great features of this software. I just want to add that. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And there are a few questions as well here. Yes. So one is about the DDD. Did FieldWorker receive approval from DDD to pull data from iRecord? So basically, the way the process works is that the participant search download is our mechanism. So you do the participant search on the front screen of iRecord. You download that field, and you can and then we pick up that data into FieldWorker, and you can do it as many times as you want. We'll get in the latest information into FieldWorker at that point in time. So if there is any change, and this addresses another question there, that if there is any change in the information for a particular consumer on iRecord, whenever you do the sync with us, that information will be uploaded to the system. I hope that answers a couple of the questions that have been asked. There have been quite a few questions. So if not, please feel free to actually ask these questions. I just realized that I can allow people to talk. So I'm going to do that. And so anybody who would like to speak up and ask a question, please do so. We want to keep this as informal as possible, and you can do so then if you would like to, or if you would like to just type in your questions, that is fine too. And then there's another question which is about that some staff don't need their MTs approved. So we have taken care of that as well, and it is set based on the way an employee is set up in the system. So there is a designation for an employee that can be set up so that that employee can do their own
approval. We have a self-approval process in place as well.
Yes.
For your support coordinators.
Correct. There's another question about documents or sign-in sheets. So we have a very that's a good question. And Sunny, you can probably show that. Somebody's asking how do sign-in sheets get uploaded to FieldWorker?
Yes, so we have a mobile app as well as the upload button that can upload a document onto the system. So your support coordinators can click and upload any file from their local system. So you can either take a picture of the sign-in sheet or scan the sign-in sheet, have it saved as a document, upload it to FieldWorker. You can then associate this document to a client as well as a task or a project. All of these documents are visible on the client screen. So when we go to the files, if any files have been uploaded, are all visible for this client. So you can use the upload button to upload sign-in sheets. And this is visible to your managers as well.
Yeah, and another question around downloading and uploading the MMT to iRecord. So yes, the support coordinator is totally allowed to once approved, they can just take the form, they can download it in the form of a Word document or a PDF document, as the case may be, and upload to iRecord. Absolutely. There is somebody has asked if we can show a monitoring tool which has some follow-up items. I'm not sure if we have one here, Sunny, or not in the demo. So by the way, all this data is dummy data. We are not violating any HIPAA rules here. And our system is completely HIPAA compliant as well. So all information is very clearly segregated, and only people who are authorized to see, authorized, they will see the information that they have the authorization to.
So Rohit, the storage of data, the transmission of data, everything is Medicaid compliant. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
When there are concerns with, let's say, SCs working in the system, is there a contact number? Is there customer service to indicate that there's been a issue with the system? That may not be, let's say they've completed a monitoring tool, and now that monitoring tool is in the system, but now it's blank. But they know they've done the work. They know they've done the save. Is there's, way to capture work that was done previously?
So I'll try to take that, and then Bill, if I haven't understood this correctly, perhaps you can add to it. But basically, we are capturing information in our system in FieldWorker, right? So client information, contact information, document information, visit information, we have all that in the system. So all that information is with us, as well as the MT that you have generated is here as well, that you have created, and it is saved here. So once we have created the MT, you take that MT just like you are doing, just like you would do now to upload to iRecord, and you would upload it to iRecord. But all that information is part of our system, not only in the system, but also the MT. You have the generated MT as well. I hope I have answered your question, but if
Rohit, let me add to that. So there is a customer support team that is available to you. So if a coordinator or a manager or an approver is having an issue, they can email the customer support coordinator that they are assigned, and they will respond and address the issue. I've had very good experience with the reaction time to the bringing up of any concerns. So it's worked out fairly well.
Thanks, Bill. That's one of my questions. I wanted to make sure that there is someone we can connect with in the the system is, I'm assuming, still growing, and all, I haven't been I do work with Bill, so for those that don't know, but I haven't heard about the system. I know we're kind of doing a kind of a rotation of getting SCs into the system, so I didn't know if they're having any glitches and whether or not that's being worked out. Is the system, I know you're doing a presentation now, it's ready to roll, and it's fairly little follow-up needed.
Right.
To get this up and running.
Yeah. And the number of issues are surprisingly small, to be honest with you, for a fairly sophisticated platform, you know, that's doing quite a lot. But anything that we've experienced, they've addressed within, I'd say, 24 to 48 hours, getting things solved. And that's one of the nice things about it. You do have, one of the benefits is I was aware of the New Jersey system. So I could articulate the issue or problems, and that would help them develop solutions fairly quickly. And I think that will continue, you know, as they move forward. They have a pretty solid understanding of how the DDD system operates. And their technology sort of is taking advantage of everything that's available to make the coordinator's job easier. And I from that standpoint, I think they will be able to address anything that comes up very quickly.
Gotcha. Was this system in place with the previous monitoring tool?
We were working on it, but we hadn't actually rolled it out. And so when DDD back in October came up with the new monitoring tool, I went to Rohit and Prabhat, and I said, okay, guys, this is the time. We need help. You got to get this thing done. And they've been working very diligently over the last 6 months, 8 months to get this thing to where it is now. You know, this is for our field, this is very sophisticated. This is a very sophisticated platform for our field. Like I said, one of the things that I pushed on and continue to push on is capturing the information so that, one, I could track people's time. I do track people's time. You guys are aware of that. So I track everybody's activity and time that they spend working for me. Everybody's tracked. Coordinators track their time by consumer. And I pay them a bonus based on the hourly pay that I pay them, and then the approval of the monitoring tool or the initial plan, and so that they get their split with my company. And that's how I pay them. And I wanted to retain that platform with a timesheet capturing system that also integrated the monitoring tool. That was the one thing that I did not have. And so they're able to do that. And their platform will only get more sophisticated as it moves forward, to be honest with you. But they have reports it's not just capturing time for payroll and time for billing or activity for billing, but it's also managing the system so that you don't have lapsed plans, right? And they have reports where they track the approval process. And those reports will continue to evolve, you know, over time. You guys may come up with things that you want to see and that you'll present to them and say, hey, maybe you could do this or maybe you could do that way. And they'll incorporate it. And that's what they've done over the last, you know, certainly the last 8 months that we've been working on this. And that will continue to evolve as we move forward. And that's one of the really good things about this. So you have a true IT-based platform that small companies and larger companies can actually utilize. And that's what's sort of exciting about this. And I think it really is going to enhance the quality of the work that we all do and give management of companies greater control and a greater handle on what they're delivering.
Somebody has asked if what does the billing piece look like? I mean, even though for this webinar our focus is MTs, we can we are okay. So one thing, we are happy to set up you know, a meeting with you. I'm going to show you in detail all different parts of the system. I'm going to drop my email here as well as please just drop us an email. I'll drop Anne's email here as well. Please feel free to connect with us. And we are happy to talk to you in detail about any questions that you might have about your specific agency. And we are happy to take a call and discuss in more detail with you.
I can give just a little tidbit of how we're using the billing system right now.
Sure.
So we're able to provide a file that has all the initial plans that are approved and then all the monitoring that is done for our consumers. And FieldWorker is able to upload that file directly to Medicaid. So they have the link and have established as a biller to Medicaid, and they are approved to be a biller to Medicaid. So they have that link and that approval already done, and they're able to submit the bills, and we submit the bills through them. As they move forward, what's going to happen is all the approvals that are being done for monitoring and for initial plans will be funneled through and compared with the prior authorization to make sure that you're properly billing in that particular month. And that's and that feature will ensure that not only are you getting MTs created for you, capturing time, but now you're also billing in one integrated automated platform.
So yeah, and then to add to that as well, so we've got dashboards, etc., where we take into account prior authorizations, and basically we made it very simple through one screen to submit your claims to NJMMIS, correct we check all the data that you have submitted. We identify problems that might exist. You can correct them in place. You can add, so everything is controlled through one dashboard, and then one click submitted to NJMMIS. And that's not where the story ends. As you get updates from NJMMIS, we update that dashboard. So you see what the status of your submissions is and what is going on. So on an ongoing basis, you have a visual into what is going on with your claim submissions, and then you get paid. So essentially, we've made the whole process very, very easy. Again, the whole idea being that we have one integrated place where everything flows from one end to the other for support coordination agencies. Hopefully that answers some of the question, but we are happy to show you the billing piece as well with some transactions, test transactions, and we can set up a call for that as well.
I was looking at your pricing, where especially for, I would say the one that says growth, when it says up to 10 employees or 50 clients. I was a little confused by that.
Right. So, we have got many different pieces to the system, right? We have MTs, we have billing. So essentially the pricing becomes a function of the number of consumers you are servicing, the MTs you are producing, the number of users you have on the system. So we are happy to take this, do a model for your agency to give you a feel for the pricing. We would have to, just have a little discussion about the size, which we can do in a separate call. But just to give you, some indicative numbers when we take everything into account, such as billing and, our core system, which has time tracking and MT, etc. So if we think about it, so let's say you have, I'll just give completely off my head indicative numbers. So depending on what size your agency is, I'm not trying to, dodge the question. I'll give you some numbers. So if you have, let's say 14, 15 users, you have, let's say 300 odd consumers that you are supporting. You are doing billing for about 300 consumers. You're generating 300 MTs a month. With that kind of number from an indicative point of view, we are looking at something like $1,200 a month. And then depending on if your numbers are fewer or larger, it would vary, right? So just to give you some, we wanted to create a system which is a win-win. We want you to use it. We want you to be successful, and we want this to be a core part of your business process. And so we have tried to price it in a very competitive and manner which should be able to be used by all agencies.
And one thing
that
to
answers
remember,
your question. We are happy to take a separate meeting for this as well. Sorry, Bell.
Yeah, that's okay. And one thing to remember, guys, is that hopefully this is reducing costs in other areas. I know that, I'm spending probably about $100,000 on my programming costs a year. So if I can integrate and get the platform to do what my platform does, I have the potential for saying, well, I'm not going to save the full 100 because I got to pay FieldWorker, but let's say I can save half the cost. And I'm on a better technology platform that is more sustainable. So if you are doing billing and you're taking your time to do billing, or you're using a different software package, the idea is to replace that, save that cost, and now use FieldWorker to incorporate both billing and MT creation. I know from my MT approval process, I spend probably another $100,000 a year, probably a little bit more than that, having somebody review all the MTs. Well, now that my MT approvers aren't going to have to make sure everything is filled in properly, that reduces the amount of time that they're going to spend doing their MTs. And it could cut it by, maybe a quarter at least. They still have to verify the contact, but still the chance for me to save, a significant amount of money is there. And that's the way you sort of have to look at it, as sort of a combination of not only producing a better product, a better MT, but also reducing other costs that you won't have to incur because you're using FieldWorker.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you are possibly spending a lot of time doing your billing, time and effort and resources, and we can save you a bunch of time in that. We are really cut down. So we are already, and to somebody's question, yes, we are already live. Many companies are using our system and it's working fine. And to another question, is it a whole package or can we take some modules? That is a valid question. You can. So we can again talk about it as to what your organization needs. And we can discuss this with you as to different parts that you may or may not want to use. There is a question about signatures. What we have is an option where you can take any document, as I think Sunny mentioned, which has any document can be pulled from the phone. Taken a photograph, PDF, that you can upload, right? So sign-in sheets can be sent, and they're all kept in a centralized location. We also, and to the question of sending it to consumers, if a document is needed, that is something that is in our plan coming soon. Prabhat, you may want to add to that question if you want to, as to being able to send a document to a consumer through the system.
So on that specific question, I mean, you can always send a document and have them sign and scan it back. But again, are you looking for, if you're looking for having a signature, which is a more integrated experience, we will actually have in one of the future versions allow signature to be collected on your mobile device or on your tablet, and then those can be added to a form. And a lot of it is dependent on basically, as someone asked the question, is that what modules do we have and what modules do we support? So the focus today was primarily on MT, but a lot of this functionality, as Bill had also mentioned earlier, is in the pipeline, basically.
Yeah. And so to another question, there is an app, yes, absolutely, that you can use on your phone. So you can do a whole bunch of activities just on your phone. We have, ways to collect case notes if you want to do that, a whole bunch of functionality, collecting documents. We even actually support things like electronic verification of visit through the phone. Not that support coordination the coordinators in New Jersey don't need that currently, but we do if you so desire. And of course, we have the desktop version. So you can operate from either place, basically from a functionality perspective.
Yes, and just to add to that, we have an iOS as well as an Android mobile app. So yeah, it's on both the Play Stores, and you can download it to use.
Yeah, and again, we are not directly pulling data from iRecord, so there is no conflict with DDD in that regard, right? Data is being downloaded through the participant search. We are taking that data into our system, and similarly on the output side, we are producing the MT that then you take and load up to iRecord. So there is no conflict with DDD in this regard at all. I think we have answered most of the questions that have come up so far. If I'm missing something, please ask again if we have missed any question. But yes, please ask any questions that you may have. We are happy to take them, and we are happy to connect with you to set up a follow-up call as well.
I think Tina has a question. Tina, you may go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I've also been shuffling a lot of papers. I'm sorry if that created background noise. But my question is, for the participant search, is that something that one of my staff members would need to pull every day and upload into your system, or how frequently would that process have to happen? I believe it would be manually, right? Some sort of manual process.
Yes, I can answer that. It's a manual process. It's something an admin of the company can download from iRecord. Typically, clients do it the first time to set up the system with the client information. And going forward, it's the choice of the admin on how regularly you want to do this upload, because all the information is still going to be stored. We just update any new information that comes from iRecord. So you can do it on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. It all depends on you and how you would like to keep the system updated with iRecord.
Another question I have is regarding like partial month billings. One of the biggest things that I tend to miss is if a client drops off our case load, say a couple weeks in, we still can bill for those few weeks of the month, but by the next following month, when I run the participant report, they're not there anymore. So I end up missing them in my monthly billing. So what's the process that you guys have for partial month billing?
So Prabhat, do you want to take that question?
Actually, the Bill's smiling as well. So Bill,
you want to take that question?
Yeah, so we're right now, there's a feature that's in the pipeline so that when a consumer leaves a support coordination agency, they'll be able to indicate that they're no longer with the agency. That date will then set up and create a partial month bill, a daily bill rate based on the information that's in FieldWorker. So even though the prior auth may not have reflected it, the fact that FieldWorker captures when a consumer is no longer with the agency will create a partial month billable that will then match with whenever iRecord comes in with a partial month prior authorization.
How does it capture what the date when that person dropped off?
So you get notified by DDD that the consumer is no longer with you. And then you're going to go into FieldWorker and you're going to update the client record with the fact that they're no longer with you. And that will then create a billable item that will match with the prior authorization to then bill properly for the daily rate up until the point that that person was there. Now, of course, you still have to get the deliverable. So the monitoring tool has to have been done in order for you to get the partial month billing. But that's taken into account too through FieldWorker's system.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Tina, I mean, we can definitely, as Rohit mentioned, have a one-on-one conversation. We have a fairly sophisticated revenue cycle management in the sense that, and one more question which was out there for prior authorization, you can actually upload your prior authorizations and they will be in the system as well. And what just Bill mentioned about the partials, together these two things and your confirmation that the MT has been completed, the contract has been made, there will be a reminder for you not to miss. Don't leave money on the table.
That is fantastic. We are reaching the top of the hour, and towards the end, if there's any last questions, it's been so good, exciting to talk to you all about this. And you know, what we will do is we are happy to talk about billing. We just don't have time to show the whole thing, but billing, as the questions indicate and Bill's answers indicate, is working. We are processing you know, several millions of dollars in transactions right now through NJMMIS, and when people are getting paid. So it's all working very well. We're happy to show it to you in a separate meeting, how billing works and the dashboards look like.
Yeah, I will add that FieldWorker has been doing the EVV process for well over a year with a number of agencies in New Jersey and around the country. So they are very familiar with EVV and billing through that platform. So they have a real good knowledge base of what's required for Medicaid.
Yes, thank you. Tina, do you have another question? Your hand is raised, but I don't see
Nope,
it.
sorry.
Okay, no worries. All right, if there's nothing else, then again, we thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy days to attend this webinar. And if there are any questions, please, our emails are in the chat window. Please drop us an email. We are happy to get in touch with you. Bill, Prabhat, or Sunny, any last thoughts that you want to add? Otherwise, thank you.
I can just summarize a few things here, and hopefully that will answer a couple of other questions if somebody had in their mind. We mentioned that we are HIPAA compliant. So that's always goes without saying that the customer privacy is the most important. All your data is always yours. That's not us. All our data is stored on Microsoft servers and Azure. So it's all military grade security that's around the data. So there shouldn't really ever be any use. All the data is backed up on a daily basis. So you're never going to lose any of the work that you've done or kind of thing. And Bill has vouched that we have a fairly good support team. Anne is here, Sunny is here. They're responding all the time if you have any questions. And as all of us mentioned, Rohit mentioned a couple of times that we have a lot of functionality. EVV is there, billing is there, a lot of reporting stuff is there. And I think there's going to be an opportunity for both Sunny and Anne to show you on a one-on-one conversation and answer any questions that you still might have.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.